Kakavit! Kakavit! Ja, Blue, komm her! Kakavit! Ja, bravo! The Arahuasan, the blue one you can see here, it's a highly endangered species. There's just 4,000 to 6,000 left in the wild. So the people can come here, they can think about what animals need, having empathy for them, how special and how great they are. Being an eye with them like we are now, inside the Ara's place. It's really, really fascinating. In the biopark, especially in the canton of Geneva, close to the city of Geneva, it's like a unique tangent between human and animal, between culture and nature, and between human civilization and wilderness. Under certain circumstances, an animal park can make us even better humans, because we learn about like humanity values, social values, and if we feel this empathy, we take the responsibility. If you're here and you see these animals need our help, our support, but also on the other hand, we are really dependent on them. Because if you think about ecosystems, about habitats and so on, it's also our environment we are living in. So in the end, if we protect them, we protect ourselves. And I think this is something very unique and special the biopark is aiming for. Because I think especially in the pandemic, we humans saw that we are all sitting in the same boat. And they are not as untouchable as we think. So it should show us that with these emotions we had now during the lockdown and so on, we created, and also staying together and fighting for something, we should also put these emotions and these ideas to act to, first of all, the climate change, and next of all then for biodiversity loss. I have an image in mind which is really interesting. It's a diver which shows like human population. He's swimming away from a shark which is called COVID. And this shark is followed by an even bigger one. This one is called climate change. And the really, really big one, who is following all of them, is the big one, which is called biodiversity crisis. So I think we shouldn't not only figure on the small one, we also have to have a more long-term thinking and to also concentrate on the bigger problems in the end. People always think animal parks are there for animals. It's just half of the truth. The biopark itself, you want to figure about a species that cares most about itself, which is all over the world, which can influence its own evolution, and it's one of the only species who can do that. And besides all of that, it's threatening itself with extinction. So I'm talking about all of us, ourselves, we are the humans, and with it, all the animals which live around us in this world. If you concentrate on that while creating these emotions, people are aware about problems we already have. But the thing is, what we now have to figure on and to focus on is what we can do. So to bring people to active actions. And I think like this direct contact with animals, because biodiversity itself is such a huge, huge field, and it's really difficult to understand and to grab. It's easier, especially for children and for people, to have some individuals, you know? It was also like Greta and the climate change, or not climate change and Greta. So people really like to personalize something, to first of all recognize the problem and then to do something for it. People, they only protect what they love, and they only love what they know. So if you don't know about the Ara, if you don't know about the lemurs, if you don't know about any animal, you won't care about them. Oh yeah, I think he's agreeing. Yeah, here we have Aldo. He's a triton kakadu. It's also an endangered species. He's 59 years old and normally welcoming the people in the park. It's the tree in the entrance, it's his tree. And it already shows the spirit of the park. We don't want to have like classical enclosure for the animals. We want to have like open spaces. We want to give the animals as much freedom as possible, and animal welfare is really important. The lungs, he's on the plateau. You see him? So, first of all, I will tell you we are going inside to the lemurs. Just before we go inside, I want to show you, we have here the tronçonneuse. It's not that we forgot the chainsaw while we were creating here the enclosure. It's just like to tell that in Madagascar, one of the biggest problems for the lemurs is the deforestation. And this is something really sensitive. You go inside, see how fascinating, great they are, and on the next side you see the cut the trunk with a chainsaw. This is something which should also create emotions. Just to find a good key. Okay, we are now here in our lemurs place. We have a really good functioning group which reproduces every year, which is really important. It's an endangered species also on the IUCN Red List. And the lemur, it's our ambassador species. So first of all, in 2018, there was the firstborn lemurs of the Canton Geneva here in the Bioparc. Second of all, many people know them from the film of Madagascar. And we are also educating that it shouldn't be King Julian, it should be Queen Julian, because the lemurs are really matriarchal. The females are highly dominant, and the males are the last ones who get something to eat. And this is something which helped us a lot, because one of the main aims of the biopark is also the animal-assisted intervention. It's intervention assistée par animal. We have traumatized children, autistic children, children with special needs in our park, which have special contact with these animals. So we have on the children's side like a psychologue, and on the animal side like a keeper to also guarantee animal welfare. And the animals are an unbelievable mediator. They create a bridge between the psychologue and the client himself or herself, which is unbelievable. So I can tell you an example. We had a young boy here in our park, an autistic boy who couldn't feel empathy. And he didn't play like a child with toys, with cars, with plush. And he was under treatment for several months and also under medication, but they didn't have any success. So in the biopark, we prepared food for the lemurs with him, and he's a boy, and for sure he wanted to feel the male of the lemurs. But as you could see by yourself as well, it's first the female who are going to eat first, and then afterwards the male. So he didn't prepare enough, and the male couldn't eat anything, and he felt so sorry. And we transmitted this message to the psychologue, and he bought a plush. And then when they had the next session, he asked him, how did the lemur male feel when he didn't get something to eat from you? And then he first started really, maybe in his life, to play with the plush lemurien, and said, I feel so sorry, and why I didn't eat, and why are the others chasing me? And the psychologue, he was so close to tears, he called me and said, it's unbelievable. He came 2 times, he interacted with the lemurs, and he started on a completely different level to act and to feel empathy. And this is something also which is really important for conservation. If you see these little guys, how great they are, how fascinating they are, and on the same time how endangered they are. If you see them, I think there's almost no way around to fall in love with them, or at least to be fascinated about them. And while creating this emotion, this special personal contact, it's my deepest hope that people will come to active actions. You know, every little action can make a difference. And I'm really convinced by myself that we all together can do something, and all together will do something to make it a better world. Just if you talk about my philosophy as well, for me it's clear that conservation of the 21st century, it's mainly about human, not about animals, because we are the ones who can have it in our hand to make the changes possible. And for me, it's not only the children, because it's often easy to say we have to educate the children and they will create a better future and so on. It's also the adults, because we have to act now. And the adults are the ones who have, first of all, also financial opportunities to help biodiversity and to make a difference. And they also have their vote on the political level. Because biodiversity mostly is influenced by politics and also by business. And these are the 2 things which the adults can do now in a better way than the children. I think also that we have to see, we don't have to be, from the biodiversity side, a little bit less extremist. Because we often say all the business is bad and so we just have to save biodiversity. But this is not possible anymore. Human being without business is also not possible. So I think we have to also make a bridge not only between human and animals, but also from B to B, from business to biodiversity. Because if biodiversity gets support from business, and business is more sustainable working for biodiversity, this is for me like a sustainable future we could work for. This park, with its philosophy, can be really the perfect tangent or a platform for discussion where people can come, create their own opinions. Because if you talk also about luck, or if you talk about personal good and so on, everybody is different. For you, luck means something maybe like going out. For you, it means something like material. You know, we never know. There's different people. But if you come here, you make your personal experience and you can discover what saving biodiversity, what biodiversity itself and all these animals are meaning for you. And everybody can also act on his or her own scale. And there's maybe people who can bring more efforts and can do more. There's some people who will do less, but this does not matter in the end. If everybody does something, we do something and we can make a change happen. And all the things I was talking about has to happen in two different levels for me. The first of all is the knowledge level. So it's like scientific facts what we have, because if we act, we have to do it in a good way. And the second thing is that we really make active actions in the good way as well. They have to come from deep inside of us. So it has to happen on an emotional level. And this in comparison, both things together makes a special acting and a truth acting. You know, if you only act on an emotional level and there's maybe some knowledge missing, we maybe think we are acting in the good side, but we are not acting well. So it helps not for biodiversity. It's just happening on an emotional level. If you're acting just on the scientific level, the knowledge level, it comes not deep from inside. We are not convinced about ourselves maybe, so there's also no true action. The combination of both for me is essential. That combination can be really created in a park like the Bioparc, because we can give knowledge on a really scientific basis, and the emotions are created by the animals themselves. So this is not in our hands, and it's something which happens on a really personal level. Like Sir David Attenborough said as well, like we are facing a crisis which will have influence of all of us. This is awareness. But the thing which is even more important, that people are leaving the park with positive emotions. So we want to give them hope, you know. It's not that we say everything is bad, the planet is already lost, etc. and so on. The message in the end is positive, and really should show them that really we together as a human society, that we can do something. We will do something, also we have to do something, but if we do it, we still can make it a better world and we can still live on this planet. It's not only that the ecosystems are collapsing, that the species are disappearing and so on, for sure. For the moment we are like in the species crisis. But if we act and everybody on his or her scale, we can make a difference.